Mabel.
뻔한 얘기지만 널 보면 그냥 좋아. 매일 보고 싶어. 함께 있는 순간들도.
Come on, girls. Morning, sweetie. Christmas, just settle down. Oh my gosh. Morning, ladies. Hi, girls. Ernie. Ernie. We're going to talk about you today, buddy. And good morning. Hi to hello. Hello.
I was like, dang, now we're really enunciating it.
Hi to hello, everybody. Lester and Jamie here. We have all of our dogs at our feet. And thank you all for jumping on and joining us this morning for a coffee with Jamie and Lester. And I will say this, I don't think we're going to talk about much more than that fella out there in the pasture behind us. Ernie's here. Ernie's back. And Jamie will talk a lot more than I will, because I've learned from you all that let Jamie handle the medical talk. I don't know.
That's not true.
I don't know what I'm
fine.
saying. I don't know. No, I don't. I don't know what I'm saying. So I will let Jamie handle all the medical talk. But I will say something. It's nice having Ernie back. But I hope that everyone understands. And I'm just going to say this as clear as I can. I hope you hear me. And Ernie's still sick, friends. Do not think that they released him because he's healthy and ready to go. Ernie's still sick.
Ernie's still not well at all. And staying in the hospital was not doing him any favors to make him any more well. So his best chances were to be home. But if I'm being very real with everyone this morning, it's still a very long road for him. And we're giving supplements, and we are, of course, giving him the very best food and water and everything that he could possibly have. But he's got a long road of recovery. He's very fatigued. I actually called A&M this morning already because I did his FAMACHA score, which is where you pull down their eyelid and pull out their bottom eyelid to see the color, and that tells you about their blood levels, and is very pale. And I'm concerned. I did not do one yesterday before we left. I wish I would have, so I would have had a baseline, but I am waiting for the vet to call me back, and we will probably FaceTime so that I can show her. It's going to take time for Ernie's body to keep building new blood cells and to heal itself, but he has to have that fight in him, and that will come with nutrition and rest and good environment. We were specifically told that he needs a fan or to stay cool, that getting hot will not help him. And
we got that.
For whatever reason, the Mother Nature heard that, request and gave us a very cool couple of days here on top. We do have a fan out there too if we need it, but he's severely anemic. And while they treated him for parasites and they did the blood transfusion and he's having supplementation, it's still touch and go.
We have iron. Jamie hand-fed him his iron this morning. We want to make sure that he gets it, not the girls. And I will say real fast, because I see the questions. The girls are fine. The girls are doing wonderful, y'all. And we were very pleased with and anyone that saw the live video when we were at the vet yesterday, you actually saw the lady read off the results to us about the fecal samples from the girls. Crazy. And Annie is parasite free. Good for Annie. Indy has your acceptable levels.
Yeah.
There's
normal.
Yeah, there's going to be parasites in pretty much everybody, friends. But most of, just like us, we get viruses and stuff, and our bodies can fight a lot of things because we're healthy. But Ernie is not healthy, and he's going to have to fight really hard, and we're going to try to help him. We've done a lot with our pasture, or it's our paddock, to try to assist and aid him along. and will keep all of our alpaca healthier. But Ernie has quite a bit of he has a road ahead of him.
Yeah.
But our girls are great. And then as far as the demeanor, if you were able to watch the video, it was
I
Jamie?
posted a video this morning about it.
About the girls being kind of distant.
Mhm.
So the girls have been a little bit distant. Not so much Indy. She's like just happy to see dad. She's so happy to see her dad. But Annie's a little bit distant. And there'll be a lot of videos about, where we can kind of show you and talk about what we think's happening.
I think some of it is obviously Oki's missing. So there's like an expectation around that. And I think that he smells like a hospital. He smells not well. And that's very normal. Dogs do the same thing. Horses do it. Animals will distance themselves from those that are sick. And Annie is pregnant. So that probably heightens everything for her and probably makes her hyper aware, and like their natural instincts are stay away from me, that type of thing. And their also natural instincts are, if they're a pregnant female, they don't want males near them. They will spit and keep them away. So that's also an indicator of what would happen even if Ernie wasn't sick. Did you know that part?
I'm sorry.
You weren't listening.
No. I was listening, but my mind was thinking about that movie called World War Z, where there was a zombie apocalypse, and the only way that they could survive was to inject themselves with smallpox, because the zombies were eating up everything that was alive and healthy and well. I'm sorry, but the zombies could also smell sickness, and they wanted nothing to do with sickness. They wanted to eat the healthy stuff. And so I'm sorry, y'all. Sorry. I was thinking about World War Z. Go ahead, keep talking.
Anyway,
it's true. That's what I was doing. You want honesty, that's transparency. I'm like most men. I sit there and look at you and nod my head, but I'm not even listening to what you're saying. Go ahead, man.
I wish I was surprised. Anyway, so we have a really long way.
Be a Vanessa, y'all.
We have a long way ahead with Ernie. The other thing that I noticed this morning was that as I'm feeding him that iron, and I brought him a little bit of grain as well, not knowing how he would take the iron, he was really struggling to swallow it. Like he would chew it and like it was a real tough swallow. So I ended up soaking it. I have not asked any alpaca expert or the vet about that, but I know when Voodoo came home and he had a hard time swallowing, that was the directive. So I had not seen Ernie drink yet, and anyway, I put water in it, and now I know he's got some fluids in him as well. He ate it. It was fine. I also tried to turn on the hose to let him drink out of it, and he just wasn't feeling it. He gets up. He doesn't just lay there when we walk up. So that's something positive. But I do think that I think that the ride was hard on him yesterday, which I expected. The stress of travel, and also just the stress of it's kind of new again, and Annie's not so welcoming, and Dinky agrees.
Do you mind? We're working here, Dinky.
But I am going to ask the vet about some of the things. So this is crazy. There are natural foods that can help your body reproduce, and that's human bodies. Some of that's like broccoli and kale and things like that. Like it can help blood regeneration in humans.
I had no idea.
I want to ask the vet, like obviously he's eating alfalfa and orchard grass, which may be very similar in content. I don't want to overdo it or mess up anything with anything else in his digestive tract or anything like that. But I just have questions about like, has anyone ever tried this? And the vets will all tell you. Every vet at A&M, Dr. Cochran, Dr. Priestley, even our new vet, Dr. Shanks, will all tell you that alpacas are made with spare parts. That's literally the term that they use. They say that they have some horse anatomy, some cat anatomy, and some deer anatomy in them. And they're literally like pieced together, which makes it very hard for veterinary medicine, but also nutrition and there's just not a lot out there. So when you have someone like our friend Tina, who is the owner of Camelid Corner and really has become so knowledgeable in alpacas. Sometimes her knowledge can help the vets know where to turn and that type of thing. So we're really blessed to have her. But people who do alpacas are the most knowledgeable. And I don't mean like hobby people like Lester and I mean people that raise alpacas, breed alpacas, who that is their passion, their thing. They're extremely knowledgeable, more than textbooks. So we're blessed to know Tina. And I asked Lester today, I'm like, how do we ever find Tina, actually? And do you remember? Did you ever remember?
Well, everyone's saying there's a cat that's photobombing us in that tree.
I saw it. It was Stranger running up there.
Yeah. I found Tina by recommendations. People recommend, people in the alpaca community. So it's not easy to shear alpaca. Trust me, we tried 4 years in a row.
It was horrible.
We even had a contest one year. Remember that we had a contest who could do the best shearing job?
Yeah.
And we had to randomly draw alpaca. I chose Ernie, thank you God. You chose Annie.
Yeah, I got spit in the face.
And yeah, that was a mess.
I took a lot for the team that day.
But alpaca shearing is not easy. And now Miss Tina has a table. She can bring them out, lay them down, strap them down, flip them over, and she does it all professional like. That's not the way we do it. We just kind of hold them in the corner. And so it's kind of like changing clothes on a screaming child. You know how they will just scream and kick and fight.
A wet screaming child.
Come here, put that on, give me. That's how we are trying to shear alpaca.
Yeah.
Not pretty. But no, Tina's been a blessing. But I'll tell you what, she's had some alpaca, and I think that she's probably the most professional person that we know in the alpaca world.
Yeah.
She's our alpaca lady. I know it's sad, but we will call somebody our horse lady, our pig lady, our alpaca lady. Yeah, poor
Isn't
Tina.
it funny how they're all ladies though?
Yeah, we have
like I still find and every vet that we spoke to this week that cared for Ernie was a woman as well.
I don't think I've seen a man anywhere around them A&M farms.
I have.
Well, the guy that flirted with you, yeah, Jamie. Of course, that guy's going to show up every time you.
But no,
pull
then
up.
There's also the guy that was there when we checked the alpacas in. There was a guy.
Some fella watches the videos and he knew we were on our way, so he just cannot wait to see Jamie. Just cannot wait to see Jamie. He's a security guy. He's A&M security, so he drives his truck around and he just so happened to be doing security on that particular parking lot where we roll up in every time Jamie goes to visit. What? Anywho's, yeah. So no, we have alpaca people, we have goat people, we have horse people, and Rick is a horse guy. Rick is a horse guy.
Rick does count as a horse guy.
I guess we'll count Rick in as one of the guys, but one of the few men in our lives. But yeah.
No, we have female vets, we have female chiropractor, we have a female dentist. We have a female equine fertility specialist. Like, I don't know. There's just, for me, I know that you don't get that. There's a lot of power in that. Like, I feel like I can relate in a way that maybe I couldn't if like they think like a mom. That's what I think.
I wonder why my colonoscopy doctor's a man. No, I just think about when people go into medicine, like they have to have a thing they have to have an interest in to specialize in a certain area. Right? I mean, really, right? Now I'm kind of rethinking Dr. Lee. Dr.
You think
Lee.
he's not going to be so gentle?
I don't know.
Have you seen his hands?
No, I've not even met him. I see his picture on the wall. I think he must be Korean or Asian.
Sounds about right.
I think he's Asian and handsome fella. But
so funny story. I work with OBGYNs, right? And I always tell you about this one doctor that I met who is just like a giant man.
With giant hands.
And he has giant hands.
Yeah.
And he tells a story about, he's like 73, something like that. He tells a story about when he was in medical school and he came home and told his mother and father that he was going to be an OBGYN, and his mother threw a fit because of how big of a man he was and how big his hands were, and said, you're never going to be able to do it. And he was like heartbroken.
Is this true? There's very few women OBGYNs?
No, it's about half and half.
Is it half and half?
Mm-hmm. Now, previous days, it used to be that way because the amount of, it's not because of what you think. Tell me why. I'm going to ask you first. Why do you think that women wouldn't want to be OBGYNs?
Oh, I was going to say more of why men would want to be, but why women would not want to be?
Or the other way. Why do you think previously there were more men?
I don't think that I should answer this question because my
All right,
mind
so
is
I'm
probably
going
going
to
to do a
tell
man
you the truth
type
about why,
answer.
though. The amount of time that career took and the amount of on-call volume. So when you were an OBGYN back in the day, and I say back in the day, even 20 years ago, you worked 365 days a year and you were on call 365 days a year, and your life gave very little time for work-life balance or to have babies of your own. So a lot of women chose to not go down the OBGYN path because they wanted families of their own, and that career did not allow for it. Now things have changed greatly, and there's work-life balance and larger practices, but before, you were the OBGYN and you were it. You were the only resource, which meant you were always on. So a lot of women chose not to do that type.
See, I would just kind of think that a woman, because she's a woman, would be more comfortable working on women because she kind of knows what to expect and then a man who has no idea what it's like to be a woman doesn't have the same mannerisms around his patients, I wouldn't think, because he doesn't know what it's like. I don't know, y'all. I don't even know why we're talking about all this.
I always.
I guess it all started with Jamie bringing up my upcoming colonoscopy. Sheesh.
I didn't even bring it up. You did.
Well, I'm bothered now that I realized that Dr. Lee.
He probably has small hands. It's gonna be fine.
God, I hope so. Oh, I know. I don't know really, but I getting back to Ernie. Can we get back to Ernie? Can we just get back to Ernie?
Yeah.
I love him and I feel so bad for him. He's, we know that he and Oki were just so closely bonded as father and son, the same way we all know that Annie and Indy are so closely bonded. And so Ernie, I'm happy that he was right there with Oki during all of that, because if you remember, we almost only took Oki and we only took Ernie because we thought that he would be healthy enough to be a donor if we needed to be, as far as the blood donor. I'm glad we took them both.
Yeah.
But had no idea that we would be having Ernie would be having to fight a battle the way Oki had to. So we're just so hopeful, y'all. We're just so hopeful, but our minds are consumed.
I was gonna say, like, I'm having a hard time doing much else. I want to literally pull up a chair and sit out there and watch. And
yeah, that's what we've been doing. We've been finding ourselves just watching, just trying to observe and watch and observe and watch, and just trying to figure out everything. I mean, because we have to also consider the fact that Annie is trying to be distant from him. Annie wants to be a part, and I don't want to jump on any videos you're working on or any things that you're thinking about.
I already got it out there.
But Annie,
like every time I open the gate, wants to get out.
Annie wants to come out.
She wants to go back with the littles. Now I realize part of that is she wants to be like, everybody is seeing that as like she just wants to be back with the littles. She didn't until Ernie got here. She was completely content.
They were living their best life, having a little break from the littles.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden we got Ernie back, and Annie does not want to be anywhere in that pasture. And I don't know if it's because she's pregnant.
That's what Tina said as well. She goes, she's probably getting closer, and we're like 2 months away. It's not like this week or anything like that, but she's getting closer, and that's probably part of her concern. But she just also, her instincts go to, not that she wants to be with the littles because that's where she finds her comfort. She wants to go be with the littles because she wonders if Ernie's a threat to them. He's not, by the way.
I'm just going to throw this up there. Angel wanted to share that her OBGYN's name, Dr. Bush. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Angel.
Listen,
Angel, could we focus here? Angel, could we keep it focused here, please?
I would tell you an OBGYN name that.
Tell us.
Dr. Holchek.
No, you're making that up.
Yeah.
Okay, you're lying.
No.
Dr. Holchek.
Yeah.
Jamie, how can you say it with a straight face? This is a joke.
It's a real truth.
Dr.
Holchek. And there's another one, Dr. Wang Dang.
No, you're
Yes,
lying.
I
Jamie.
swear
Oh
to
my
you.
God. This must be jokes
I
that you all
have-
tell in
No, I have met these human beings.
How could you keep a
when
straight
I
face in a
went-
Zoom? You're like, hello there, Dr. Holcheck, and what will you be doing this week?
Listen,
Oh, and Dr. Wang Dang.
I met them in person, and this is many years ago, and I swear to you, I swear to you, that whenever I did it, I was like,
Oh my
I just couldn't. And he's like, it's okay. It's very normal. Like, both are male.
I would rather.
You know that they were like born to be OBGYNs. Like, even if they weren't good at it, they had to figure it out because that's your name was that.
Dr. Cummings. Some ladies heard was Dr. Cummings.
Dead serious.
Dr. Wong. Oh my God, these doctors' names. I would think that they should have to pick their names. Maybe they're like Hollywood celebs and they can change their names based on
They don't because
once
of
they
all
become
their
a doctor.
No, all their education has to match all that name change. No one on earth would ever go change their name. Even people who get married don't typically change their names.
Dr. Woodward.
Yeah.
Guys, please. We're trying to be serious here this morning.
Lester had no idea that we would sit here. I don't even know how we got to talk about that, but anyway.
Dr. Corny.
I wish that your guy's name was Dr. Holcheck. That would be great.
Dr.
Your
Butts,
GI guy.
Dr. Corny,
Yeah.
Dr. Holcheck, Dr. Wang Bang. No, I guess I'll be okay with Dr. Lee. We'll just go with Dr. Lee and be okay.
Think of what he could do for his business if his name was Holcheck.
Dr. Slutsky. Her OBGYN was Dr. Slutsky. I think that y'all are making this up.
We're
y'all.
not.
I think that you women just Dr. Woody. Isn't it Dr. Worm? Oh my God.
Dr. Slaughter. I would probably not go see that doctor.
Dr. Bigham, Dr. Handover. Okay, guys, come on. Now, this is supposed to be a family channel. A family channel. I'm going to refill up the coffees.
Did we put a little bit more cream in mine?
I saw when I first poured yours, it was a little bit darker than mine. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I'll be right back.
It feels good to laugh. I am at a Lester gets up later than I do. So I get up and I do all the morning chores. It is something I enjoy, feeding and getting the waters done. And then of course I wanted to come out and check on Ernie. My last check on him was about 2:30 in the morning. All three were laying at 2:30 in the morning in the back corner of the pasture, all about 5 foot apart, but together. So, and facing each other. So like that was a good sign, because if Annie was really concerned, she wouldn't have allowed that to happen. And at 6:30 this morning, when I walked out, Ernie was standing, Indy was walking around, and Annie was still laying down. So it gives me encouragement that Ernie is standing up. I did not like his FAMACHA score, but he also ate and drank, and I can't see right now. Is he laying down or sitting up? Can you tell?
He's still in the same spot where I saw him a minute ago. He's sitting down by the water cooler area, and he's staring out at the ladies. And the ladies are staring back at him, but across their little paddock.
That's not a bad thing. He's not shunned or facing. He's not in the barn stall facing the wall, which is a horrible indicator. So him laying down and facing the ladies is a positive thing. But still, it's going to take a lot of rest, like a lot of rest.
So let's give a quick little state of the union, if you will, of the animals and what's going on with everybody. Because of this accident, the situation with Oki, we went ahead and had fecal samples tested of a lot of our babies. Now, I wanted to let you all know that cows and horses, donkeys, they don't do barber pole. They're not susceptible to barber pole. Barber pole ain't going to do nothing to them guys. They have a system that fights off barber pole. So we don't worry about our horses, donkeys, and cows. So we can just go ahead and eliminate all of them from the whole barber pole worries. The goats at both properties are in the levels. They're fine. They're fine. The goats at the sanctuary and the goats here are all fine. Now there are parasites present, but the
The
acceptable levels.
Yeah. So they're the expected acceptable levels.
And we continue to combat. We normally do our treatments every quarter. So at the change of every season, we will go by and do our deworming. We try to mix up our dewormers. So, and help me when I need help.
The only difference is, so with horses, horses and donkeys get it, they get it 2 more times. So horses and donkeys get it 6 times a year. Everybody else gets 4 unless we see something. So the goats were done in July, and they were due again. And the vets actually said, because of our stool sample, not to do it. They said just wait another few weeks. So they're due September, October-ish, and they said wait a few more weeks. Let's retest. When we test, we have to bring Ernie's stool sample in 2 weeks again, and we'll bring everybody's stool sample in 2 weeks, and we will do the preventative care that we do in a few weeks. But for now, they were like, leave as is, because they also don't want anything coming out of anyone and being have extra exposure, essentially.
Yeah. But what I was trying to say is, so there's no immediate threat. There's no threat at all with the other babies with the parasites. Okay. So we can relax about that. Ernie is the only one who we are very concerned with. And like Jamie said, the parasites attacked his red blood system, his red blood cells, and he's become anemic because of that. I would say that I understand the doctors wanting to go ahead and send him home because of the fact that he's struggling with his recovery there. Having him home is nice for us to be able to see him, but it's also scary because we're not doctors. Mm-hmm. And I think that we just can't jump the gun. And every time that we think he's not acting normal, throw him back in a trailer, which is very stressful.
I would say like that,
and haul him back. And
I feel like the trailer ride set him back. So that trailer ride, be surprised. So that trailer ride is pretty detrimental, and which is why, thank God for FaceTime and pictures and videos and things like that. But at the end of the day, like, bringing Ernie back into A&M or anywhere is a huge risk, because that ride is extremely stressful for them, and it ruffles their tummies all over again. And his stomach is where parasites lie, and they eat things, and that's where the blood goes away, and it goes actually into their stomachs and then out in their stool, and it's very scary.
So we just hope that Ernie's little bit of a setback this morning is only because of a very long trailer ride, guys. That's a 2.5-hour drive from here, and even longer with the trailer. So you pull the trailer slower, and so it's a long ride for any of the babies. But it was also, very surprising. We realized that how the trailer ride was difficult the night that we loaded Okie and Ernie. Okie loaded a lot easier. And when we got to A&M, which was 2 hours away from Plum Grove, he had already laid himself all the way down, and he never got himself back up from that. He had to be carried inside or rolled.
He had to be on
a gurney, moved inside. And that was like, we're like, wait a minute, he wasn't okay. We knew he was sick, but he wasn't laying flat out in the pasture. No. And so I think that trailer ride is rough on them, friends. And I wish there was an easier way. You can't put them in the front seat with you. You can't put them in the back seat. They get nervous and panic. They're going to hurt themselves or hurt you or go through a windshield or something. So they're large animals. They have to be pulled in a trailer. So we're going to just do all that we can here. And like Jamie said, use her FaceTime and try to communicate back and forth with doctors. And we'll do whatever they say. We'll drive and pick up whatever we need to pick up as far as meds go.
There are many alpacas right now in Texas, all over the US, but specifically in Texas, who are not making it. And I have to be really transparent about that, because it is a crisis right now. And
I know you say Texas, and I think it's a huge thing in Texas, but there's been people who've messaged us from all over the country.
Yes.
And there's alpaca that are passing left and right.
I think that Texas has the largest amount of alpacas in the U.S., which is why we're seeing so much of it. But it's rampant, and barber pole has no true treatment, so they try different things and hope for the best. There's like levels of try this first, try this second, try this third, But each of those also come with their own risks as well. They're ruminant animals, so their disruption of gut is also detrimental to their health, which is why the trailer ride is also very hard, even on a well animal. So it is, we're very fortunate that Ernie has made it this far, but I just need to be, we're not there yet to be able to say all is well, he's home, everything's good. Like, we're happy he's here and that we can keep our eyes on him nonstop. I know that A&M did the same thing, but you kind of want to see it too. The things that we're capable of here, we will do, but I'm not capable of another blood transfusion. I don't have those skills.
I think it was, even though we were able to see the charts on Ernie's visits, they would come by every hour, and whatever the doctor or the tech who would come by had to write a detailed description what they observed every hour upon the hour. And they would write down stuff like, noticed Ernie was eating on his alfalfa, Ernie was laying in the corner, Ernie was up and about doing, and they would just jot what he was doing. But no one in there jotted down that when they walked by, Ernie got up and came to them. And that was beautiful when Jamie and I went to visit. Same with Ellie and Megan went to visit, how Ernie was responsive to us, his people, his humans. And that was another indicator of, you know what, we need to get him back home. And the doctors were completely understanding about that. They agreed. But I want to continue real fast on something, and then you can help me with this if you will. But I don't know if it's the same person or a couple of people are saying why the animals in Plum Grove. And what you mean by that, I'm guessing, is because of the fact that Jake has lost babies, Sister Kim has lost babies, Ellie and Megan have lost babies, and they're all there on the Plum Grove property. I think my dad has lost some babies. And then I'm just going to say the only difference is, I think, two things, and there may be more. Now, don't forget that the entire Plum Grove property was covered with 3 or 4 foot of flood water in May. And I can promise you that flood water is not clean. As a matter of fact, thinking back to Hurricane Harvey, if you remember when we found Imogene, her biggest concern was her dehydration. And you're like, wait, how can a donkey be dehydrated when she's been standing in water for the last 3 days? Guys, that water is not clean water. Those flood waters have picked up every detergent, every pesticide, every chemical. It's picked up all kinds of stuff. And those animals, that water is nasty. It's gone through over sewage treatment plants. That water has come a long ways.
Septic,
and it has picked up a lot of nasty stuff. So that water is not clean water. And these are not the only animals who suffered by being put back onto pastures before those pastures have been cleansed and cleaned. And so,
but the thing is that it could take those parasites could be in there so many times, because not only did we flood, but the conditions in Texas, the hot, humid conditions, are a breeding ground for parasites. They are. And grass is where they do that in. They do that in grass. And guess what's in Plum Grove?
Yeah. And so our pastures here, or the paddocks, are mostly dry lots. There's very little grass that grows in our paddocks. If our goats and the alpaca, the big birds, Dinky Darrell, the pigs, if they want to go out to graze, they go out our little doggy doors and walk out into the pasture where we have more grass and more things to forage on. So, but up in the paddocks, they're pretty much forced to.
They're dry lots.
They're dry lot, and they will eat on the hay, the clean hay that we feed them daily, along with the grain that we put down in the afternoons, the occasional treats of oatmeal. So, and then secondly, I don't know exactly how the vet worded this to us, but goats succumb to coccidia. They seem to have a very little resistance to coccidia parasite, but goats do better with barber pole. Whereas alpaca, their biggest enemy out there is the barber pole, and it doesn't affect goats as much.
Yeah.
Is that
That's
worded?
true. And then coccidia affects everyone, but it affects goats much faster than it'll affect alpaca. It still affects alpaca, and alpaca can certainly still be overcome with it. The problem is that alpacas don't show signs of it in the same way that goats do. So goats get scours or diarrhea, And it's very evident the second a goat doesn't feel good. Alpacas, by the time that you notice anything, it's almost too late. You're within hours of.
And that's key, because goats are as I'm sorry, I'm going to say this for all the goat people, don't hate me, but for as dumb as goats are, because goats can be pretty dumb. I love them, but they can be dumb. But as dumb as goats are, their bodies will let you know they're not feeling well. You know, they'll have the scours first. You notice the scours, or that's like animal diarrhea. You notice that immediately. And then when they start kind of like moving off to themselves, kind of staring at the wall, that's just their way of saying, hey, I don't feel good. I need some help here. And so you jump right on that. But these alpaca are very stoic in the fact that they don't show. They still get out and do whatever they have to do. And you just don't notice. They don't get the diarrhea. They don't lay up in a corner. So you just got to be really aware of if they're eating, if they're drinking. So what Jamie's doing this morning, she even said it earlier, is she's watching how much water Ernie drinks. And he's not drinking much water.
So one of the things that was indicated on that the discharge notice was a salt block.
Yes.
And the reason that we need a salt block is it is an electrolyte. So electrolytes are salt for humans, for everyone. And what it does is it makes you consume and be able to hydrate with water, because just drinking water, believe it or not, is actually not what's good for us. We all need salt in our diets. So the salt will make them thirsty enough to drink water and will make the hydration stick for them as well. So that white block is really important. Lester went to Tractor Supply last night and got that as well.
Yeah, we got everything that we need. We're all set up. It was really cute. I don't know if Jimmy's gonna make a video or she already did, but we also bought us a light for the little loafing shed. And last night we turned the light on. It looked like a little manger scene. We had us our own little manger scene there in our loafing shed. We had a light that shined down on the hay, and it had the alpaca sitting there under the light looking around. So we have our own little manger scene over here. I'm sorry, I'm distracted again.
No, it's okay.
But we did everything we were supposed to do. But people are also asking about all of that hay we have, all those 50 rolls.
So I'm going
hay.
to explain something about the parasite, because I didn't get to finish that part. It's at the base of the grass. So right where the ground is, right where it grows out. Hay is cut 5 to 6 inches off the ground and then is dried. And if it doesn't have a place to continue to grow because there's no moisture to be able to feed that, it's not going to remain. The other thing that happens is that it doesn't have, like, there's no way that it could live long enough. Those parasites don't have anything to feed off of.
Yeah, they have to have a host, and the host is the animal feces on the ground. But even amongst their host, they can still climb up a few inches, I guess, onto the grass. So so it is not going to happen in the hay, because that hay has been sitting there for 6 weeks already. Months.
And the other thing that will kill it in the pastures, like ultimately kill it, is cold weather. So believe it or not, as much as I complain about that week of cold that we get in January or February, it is actually detrimental to our pastures that we have that.
We've always said that.
Not detrimental. It's essential.
Even though we don't like cold as much, I know you guys up north can handle it. We can't. Our animals don't like it. The colder the winters are here, the more freezes that we can get, hard freezes, the less insects we'll deal with in the spring and the summer. Yeah. So we don't, I understand how it all works. And so if we don't have very many cold days, or if it never drops below 50 some years, we know we're going to have a really rough spring and spring and summer.
Not just with mosquitoes and flies, but with parasites.
Yeah, the parasites as well.
Parasites, we need the cold to kill the parasites.
Yeah, and to kill mosquitoes and kill the flies and the gnats and all those things. But listen, I don't think it's necessary to be moving around pastures. I think that pasture rotation, and Ellie and Megan, if you have not noticed, they have learned to pasture rotate, and that's wonderful. For us over here, we don't really need to pasture rotate because we have dry lots.
Dry lots, believe it or not, Lester and I used to freak out about the dry lot. Like, we would think about how horrible it looks, how disgusting it was.
We want to have this big, beautiful green pastures,
But at the end of the day, a dry lot is actually so good for so many animals, specifically horses. Believe it or not, dry lots for horses have a way that you can control nutrition. So if you have a horse like Dixie who had Cushing's and metabolic disease, you can control what they eat, and you can monitor, and they can still get all the nutrition in the world, but they're not out there just gorging themselves on grass. The same way with the alpacas. While yes, they love to forage and graze, they're not really grass eaters. They're actually like foliage eaters. They do just fine with grain and the right hay, the right nutrition. Very little grain actually. And then goats, they also love to forage and go eat, but you have to also remember that most goats don't eat down in that bottom 3 inches of grass.
No, yeah.
They're like, especially here, they're eating all the brushy.
Yeah, they forage on things usually the head level or higher. They love to eat from the head level or higher. They don't really like to put their head into the dirt, grass, and eat. But listen, I'll just say this again, and I understand, guys, I understand. I'm trying to read a lot of comments while Jamie talks today, which I don't get to always do that. But I get there's going to be a lot of people who are upset, and you didn't have a chance to really have much closure with this little fella, Okie, and even some people are even mad, and you want to cast blame. And I've said this already. You can put all the blame you want to on me, but I have learned so much through this last couple of days, this last week or so, things that I never knew about Alpaca. And I don't guess I ever would have learned these things had we not had an experience that was horrible, but we're learning. And so it's been some eye-opening revelations. So
it's heartbreaking for us too. Don't think that it's not. And I'll be the first to say that I'm mad. I'm mad in general. I'm not mad at a person or a thing. I'm just mad. Like, it's the same thing about when I hear about someone who has battled so much in their life and they end up with cancer and pass away, or they have something else just horrible happen on top of them. I'm mad that, like, why? Just why? And I have so many questions. Like, Okie Dokie was this innocent, beautiful,
not even a year old,
loving personality who was just so outgoing from the minute he came out of his mother. The minute, like, I posted a video yesterday of, he is hours old and he's coming up to my camera, and like, he was born that way. He was just this light. I don't understand why he had to sacrifice for these lessons. And I'm gonna get emotional. I'm mad. I'm mad in general, and I'm hurt. And it's okay that you feel the same way, but don't think we're over here just like having the best time ever. No, we're trying to take everything from this and make sure it doesn't happen again, and try to save Ernie's life as well. And it's okay to feel all the things, because grief is weird and is random. And sometimes you can sit here and laugh about doctors' names, and then 5 minutes later be crying in front of 8,000 people because he was special. They all are.
No, Okie was more than special. He was just one of a kind. And I've never been around a lot of alpaca. We've been to a few alpaca farms when we went to learn about alpaca and stuff. But seeing Okie and just the amount of life that he had, and always just so happy, go lucky, which is why I say that when I went over on Saturday, and if you remember, I went over to cut that back pasture. And you have to use your mower for those big pastures. And so we went out over my tractor. I'm on the mower. But when I would circle around, I would see all the babies. They're all at the gate. They all come to look at you. And Okie was normally right there with them. But on that day, he wasn't. And so I was like, where's Okie? What's going on? Where's Okie? And so that was kind of what brought my attention to wonder why Okie's being distant. But he wasn't feeling well. And if it had not been Labor Day weekend, and if vets had all been opened, we could have jumped on this a little bit sooner.
But I don't know if we would have, because sometimes you just see that they, like, I guess I never realized how fast it could go down. And because when you see a goat that's sick, you do the things of, you give them B12, you deworm them, you make sure they're eating and drinking, and then you wait and see how the next day goes.
Yeah. So and we did all of those things with Okie. All those things were done but it wasn't what he needed.
No.
He was already just eat up, friends. He was
Yes.
just already just eat up.
So by the time that you notice anything, it's almost too late. And Ernie, we still don't know if it was too late for Ernie. And that's being the most transparent that we can be. We're going to do everything we can to save Ernie's life. But I'm going to be the first to tell you that I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, love Ernie. Love every minute you can with him, and we will too. But he is still fighting for his life, my friends. Just don't get it. Don't get, I'll post my video today. It'll come out at noon about the homecoming and seeing him meet the girls again and all the ride home. But and it's fun to watch, and you love seeing, everything. But just remember that he's still out there. He's sick. He's sick, y'all. And we're going to do all that we can. But what I don't think we can do is, just because we're nervous, throw him back in the trailer and drive him back 2.5 hours and put him through even more stress. So, but we'll do all that we can, friends. You have our word that we'll do all that we can, but we also think about these animals and their best interest at the same time. So, but now we will be more vigilant. Now, I mean, I don't think you can go out there every day and pull their eyelids down and do all those kind of things. I
can't even get to Annie and Indy's eyelids.
No.
I can't even check those things on them. And what the vet told me was their normal demeanor is to run from you, and they're still running from you. They're okay. It's whenever they start to act the opposite way. If they all of a sudden allow you to touch them and handle them in ways that you never have been able to before, you should be concerned.
Here's a question for you all. This will be a really fun question. So everyone knows that we've had some fun when we name our alpaca. Annie, A. Ernie, E. Indy, I. Okie, O. The next alpaca should be a U. But I told Jamie, should we rename and the next alpaca with an O? Or do we retire the O?
I think we retire the O.
We just retire the O, and the O goes with Okie. We retire the O. Or do we continue on with and make sure we have an O? No. I don't know. No, I think never. No. Retire. Okay. Well, that was easy. Yeah. There goes that debate, Jamie.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we retire the O. We will retire the O with Okie.
Plus, I want an undie.
An undie. Okay. Well, darn, guys. Nothing can replace him. We understand that. We're not trying to name another alpaca Okie. I understand that. But
he was just really special, and it was a hard loss. Some losses are great. I don't want to say greater, are harder than others. Some you understand, you could process, like Dixie was hard, but I can process it because I know it was the right thing to do. I think Okie is up there with Journey.
I'll tell you what, Okie is right there with my Maggie. Yeah. Now, I understand that when, since we've been over here, we don't spend the same amount of time at Plum Grove there at the sanctuary. And, but when I was over there, that little fella was always right there and ready to play and just do his thing. And remember how he would chase me? I'm like, oh no, I'm being chased by a mean wild alpaca. And I would just tease him into chasing me. He would chase me all over that pasture, my poor knees. And I would just run and he would be right behind me, just so happy to be chasing me around. And no, he was a special, special little fella.
I was making that video to honor him, and I have hours of video of Okie Dokie. He was just a light, just a light. And no matter how stressed or how anything, he just came up and he was all excited to see you ride it, and that was from day one. He would come up and engage, and it was just, he was different. And we're blessed to have had him in our lives. He set the bar.
He set the bar high, and then you wonder if the next baby will, because Indy was nothing like Okie. I mean, she's always been kind of like more of a mama's girl.
Well, she's a girl, so boys are much more outgoing than girls are in the alpaca world.
Ernie's
Anyway.
Ernie's not really outgoing. I mean, Ernie, the cutest things, the most outgoing things that Ernie's ever done, and I hope that you guys can remember these videos. He used to follow around the goats, and he would bite them on the butt. Remember that? He would bite them on the butt, and then they would all run, and he would chase them. But he wouldn't chase them to be mean. He would frolic.
Yeah, it was a game.
It was a game that he loved to play with the goats. So that was kind of outgoing. But he
when
wasn't.
we got Ernie, we could handle him a little bit because he had been to a few petting events with those people. But Annie's demeanor rubbed off on Ernie. She was like, "No, we don't touch people.
We don't mess with these humans.
We don't actually touch people at all." So Ernie's always been just a silent type in the background, but he has come up to defend, and he is a great protector. I remember when we got Stella, and both Ernie and Annie freaked out, like made noises that we had never heard of before because she looked like a predator to them. And they were like on high alert. And I guess I'm also measuring that moment with Annie's humming right now because Annie's not making the screaming noise. Annie's making the humming noise. So Annie's hum is like, hey, I'm not down with this. Hey, I don't want you near me. But if she was truly in distress, she would make this high chirping, screaming noise instead.
Keep talking. I'm going to do something real fast.
So it's hard, like Lester and I don't rescue an animal every weekend or even every month, but we have brought in a lot of animals to our life, and we always want to give them the best life possible and provide the safest care and the best nutrition. And we work really hard at that, but we're also human. And sometimes we fail, and it's a really hard thing to admit failure. But I also think it's a powerful thing to admit it and then try to prevent things in the future. And we're doing the best that we can around that. What are you doing?
I'm gonna do something funny.
Oh.
So this is kind of funny, but we're not going to do a fundraiser. We still have, there was enough of a surplus from the Voodoo fundraiser that we were able to pay the entirety of the bill yesterday. I think we maybe owe $600 more, but we'll take care of that. We're fine on that. We're not asking for any money for Ernie. Thank y'all so much for the support from Voodoo, the overabundance that it took care of all of the Voodoo, the entire Voodoo experience, and all of the Okie and Ernie. They let us know that we do still owe $600, which is, it was some stuff, but we will take care of that. But I think it's funny because a lot of people were saying we should do a shirt for Ernie. And I only have one idea for a shirt, but this would not be a very good shirt. This would not be a good shirt. So let me pause that for a minute. Yeah, that's the only, that is the only idea for a shirt. Pardon me. Has anyone seen my alpaca?
Not very photogenic, okay?
Yeah.
Ernie's coloring is so dark that I have a confession about last night, okay?
There's not really a way to photograph Ernie because all you can see right there are his little shiny teeth. And I took this picture years ago, and I thought it was the funniest thing ever. Because pardon me, has anyone seen my alpaca? And he's right there, but you really got to look hard to find him. So putting that on a shirt is not going to do him any justice, my friend. So we're not going to be doing an Ernie shirt. Okay.
Y'all were so grateful, or so gracious to us with the fundraiser for Voodoo, and I can't believe the timing of it, but it was able to pay for Ernie and Okie's bill, the majority of it. And I just thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Last night I was walking out to the pasture doing my checks, and it was before I put the manger light up. The other light I had in there was pretty dull, and while it provided some light, I just felt like it wasn't enough for them to feel comfortable in there. They kept coming out to the area of the big security light to lay in. So when I put up the big light and made a manger, before I was walking out there, Annie and Indy were right there at the gate, and I could see them. And as I was walking, all of a sudden, here's Ernie, like inches away from me. I couldn't see him because it was so dark, and he's so dark. He was like a ninja. Totally scared me. Totally like straight up, and I like jumped back. I'm like, oh, okay, it's Ernie. It's Ernie. I didn't go out with the flashlight. That was my own fault. But he is a little bit of a shadow, and
I was
Yeah.
this is I mean, it's funny, but it's not funny. But anybody who's darker in skin color would know this, but I was our school photographer. If you didn't know that, I told you that. I was our school's photographer and videographer for years. And one thing that I would do would be take photographs of the teams, the football teams, the basketball teams. And a lot of times when I'm taking a group photo and some of the darker skinned students, I had a really hard time getting my lighting because I'm not a professional photographer. I just had a nice camera that the school bought me so I could be our on-site photographer. It saved our school a lot of money not having to contract other photography studios out, and those studios have all the right lighting and all the right shadows and all the right things. I don't know any of that stuff, but I struggled year after year after year with my group photos, especially because I could not get to where it looked like there were certain shadows on you take a team photo and some of the darker skinned kids would be like Ernie. You just see teeth or maybe the eyelids.
It's
And
hard.
I was like, oh my God, I got to call these boys back over here. I can't see some of these kids. And I try to find ways to shift and move my camera to get the right lighting set up. But that's kind of how it was and how it is with Ernie. He's so dark that I showed Jamie a video last night before we got our light set up. He's inside the loafing shed and he's eating. So I'm videoing and you can't see Ernie. All you see is these white teeth as he's chewing on his hay.
Poor Ernie.
I'm like, I think that's him right there. That's him right
He's
there.
like an espresso color, like, and he's black underneath. Like his coat starts out black, and as the sun hits it, turns brown. But I don't know. It's gonna be a long road ahead, and I pray that he can find the strength, and that Annie and Indy also give him that strength, and that Annie calms down and stops the stressing out, and that we can get him to pull through.
Well, Annie should be having her Kriya in either November or December.
Yeah.
So we're excited about that. And let's hope it's a little boy, or do we not want it to be a little boy? I was thinking about
want
that.
it to be healthy.
We just want it to be healthy, y'all. We want it to be healthy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, my friends, we've kept you guys for an entire hour, and I know that we've kind of focused the entire thing on Ernie, and we had a little fun with doctor names. But if there's any direct questions that you want to ask, now's a good time to do that. We'll try to address those. Now, they're going by pretty fast. We have a nice audience. Thank you so much for joining us. But oh boy, Jamie, if you have to catch the questions.
I will. We can't walk over and see them because we're on the laptop and the internet will not go.
Yeah,
that
we
far.
can't walk
Sorry.
over. We do not have the same internet here that we have at the JL. Over there, we have all of our bars. So we can pretty much do a live anywhere. But here at this property, we have to sit in one spot to
I'm
do
not
a
going to
live.
do an Okie and Ernie shirt right away. We just, we just did a fundraiser, and I don't want people to. That's not. We're okay. If we do any different shirts in the future, we can talk about it. Maybe the next round.
Yeah. So I don't know about that, Jamie. So, we've always, so I'll just go ahead and tell you guys, this is kind of a little bit of the behind the scenes stuff, but we have our people that work with us on merchandising and stuff. And we've always been told, now I know that you guys follow channels who will give you a picture, a shirt of every baby, of every new baby, of every old baby, of every legendary baby. I say baby, not baby, but animal. And and that's fine. That's fine, and I'm sure that those guys do well. We don't really do that here. We do have a merch line, but we've always kept our merch simple, just to our brand. And we were told if you ever want to build your brand, then you have to stay true to the brand and don't go off and just go crazy with all these different styles and colors and whatnot. And I would say that we are very pleased with how that's going for us. When we do a shirt fundraiser, it does well. So I don't really know about ever evolving into putting certain animals on shirts. Now, we did the voodoo because we were overwhelmed with an expense that would have been
with the ask of it. Like, and just like now, like, I think we have to think about it and think about maybe a line for Christmas or something like that. Because we usually do it twice a year. And this one just happened. Maybe we'll do one this fall. And maybe, I don't know. I have to also talk to Custom Ink and see how we can do that. Because the way that Custom Ink does it is not like a normal store like the Arms family have. Like, I don't have a warehouse of stuff that I'm shipping out to y'all. Custom Ink handles it all for me. So I have to follow their rules too. We can talk about it, though.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. And then for the folks who are concerned about the sanctuary and the grounds and everything else. So like I've already said, we've already gotten the fecal samples from all of the goats. The goats are fine. I think that Meg grabbed samples from 5 or 6 of their goats. The goats are fine. The pigs are fine. And pigs are not as prone to parasites. Pigs are conditioned to live in some very harsh environments. So I think that the pigs are fine. The goats are fine. They're going to, Ellie and Megan have talked, and they're going to try to rehome a lot of their birds. We're hoping, and I can't even believe I'm saying this. But we're hoping to go ahead and start working on Jamie's little bird aviary here. And so we can possibly bring and home some birds over here. We would be happy to take some geese.
You heard him say we are hoping.
Yeah. Well,
that is Jamie didn't force him. Jamie did not entice him. I did not hold him hostage. I did not choke him. I didn't do any of those things. Okay. Also, both hands above the table. Say it again so they don't think I'm squeezing your knee.
Yeah, we wouldn't mind. Now, we have some differences of opinion. I would like the birds to be as far away from here as possible. So I don't want snakes in the yard. But we have some really neat ideas. And when I say a few, I mean a few. And so we could put a couple of geese or ducks on our pond. And we have the pond here. We have the 2 ponds at the JL. That could help alleviate some of the duck and the geese situations. Yeah. But what we would do is manage we would manage the birds a little bit and not let them continue to reproduce. We would also have a few chickens and maybe even cornholio possibly here in our aviary section where we can kind of help alleviate some of that for them. But that's really the only thing that I think Ellie and Megan need to do to get the sanctuary cleaned up as far as all that goes. There's just too many birds.
There's a lot of birds over there now.
But Ellie and Megan understand that, and they also want to make their pond as beautiful as it can be. And you just cannot keep the pond clean with that many birds in there bathing and doing what they do.
I think that,
we will never have more than 1 rooster. So we will never have more than 1. I can handle 1. If we end up bringing Nate over at some point, Jamie's Nate, I can handle that little peep squeak, but we ain't having roosters all over this place. No.
And it would be an area back behind the greenhouses where I anticipate that we would build that. That's always been the spot that I thought we would put it. It's really shaded. I have access to water. It's near my greenhouse where I'm out there every day. But we're not talking about massive amounts of chickens. Like, I think just a couple. Number 1, for eggs. Number 2, I love them. I do. Lester loves eggs. Don't you even think also that
the best thing about chickens is the eggs that we're able to eat from them.
Yes.
But not the snakes that come along hunting them eggs.
No,
Don't
so
like that.
we have some design work to do on that too, but there's not a
So I'm thinking Nate and a partner for Nate, or maybe a few girls for Nate, right? You're looking
The
at 3 or
minis.
4 girls.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
minis.
Nate's mini. He's a little tiny little fella.
Yeah, so
A
those
little
are bantams.
bantam.
And then
I would like to have Cornholio. He was Jamie's very second. He was your second Christmas birthday gift.
Third.
Jamie's third birthday gift was Cornholio. Now, as of right now, Cornholio would not be safe here.
No, we have to build the aviary
we have
first.
fox, we have predators here, so we have to have a place built. So it would be horrible to bring Cornholio over and him end up getting eaten by a fox the first night he's here. Heck, we have that fox that runs around in our shop over here, y'all. So we have to have a place to protect those birds. Now, I think that geese on the pond will be fine. Ducks on the pond.
But do you think they would be here or at JL? We haven't talked
Both.
about that yet. Yeah,
Both.
I think that the geese would do great at JL, to be honest with you, because
what I don't want are ducks and geese walking up into my shop every day.
Right.
We ain't having ducks and geese poop all over our porch.
No. So I think that the geese would be good at JL. There are 2 ponds there that nothing else is using. So that would be perfectly acceptable too.
Yeah. So we'll talk more about that, friends. We'll talk more about that. But I think that Ellie and Megan's number one priority is to start eliminating some of their birds and getting a control of those birds. And then and that will be a good step. But their pastures are fine. The ABCs are doing wonderful. And we're all being hyper aware now of just making sure that we don't skip out on the sanitizing of their food and their water bowls. And then we're all going to start trying to feed off the ground.
And scrubbing bowls every day. So Lester found several more containers that I didn't know that we had. So I think we have enough now to rotate a set out. So a lot of people gave that idea of like, Jamie, don't put pressure on yourself to wash and be out there at 6 o'clock when it's time to feed, trying to scrub those out. Have a set that you bring back that are dirty every day and fill the bowls up in the feed room. And the set that you bring that one out full of food and you pick the other ones up to bring in to wash. And then those are ready for the next day. And
so we're not going to be scrubbing like that.
Yeah. So Lester found quite a few bowls that I didn't know we had, and the blue buckets that are protein licks come in for our horses actually are fabulous feed buckets. Whoever thought that through, kudos to them, because it comes with a handle. It has a flat back, so we can actually hang them on the fences. So the rotation will work out really well for us here. Yeah. And somebody says you need an industrial dishwasher. We would still only be able to fit 2 buckets in that dishwasher.
Yeah. These buckets are too big to go in dishwashers.
We have a sink out in the shop, so it's just a matter of
we get hot water, but I think more than hot water, you just got to have the right bleach, the right sanitizers.
Soap and water and bleach. Yeah. So we'll have a wash station to be able to do that, and then to be able to continue to rotate those out.
We could not do it yesterday because of the rain, but today's going to be a beautiful day. We will finish up our goat pasture overhaul today, and I'll bring you that video on Monday or maybe tomorrow, Sunday. But we're doing a lot, y'all. We are doing our part, and I hate the fact that it took the loss of a really sweet fella to wake us up and to learn a lot of new things and some wonderful ideas. But we are on it. Both Jamie and I and Ellie and Megan, we're on it, and we will take care of all of that. Okay, I give you my word. We're not going to sit there and let this little guy's death be in vain. We're going to learn from this, and we're all going to get better.
There are a lot of people asking about Oki's necropsy. We have not received the official report yet, but we got the preliminary, and it's exactly what we expected, of a parasite. I don't remember the exact term, but it was parasites. And then they did cremate Oki for us as well. There are a lot of people asking, "Are you going to bring Oki home?" But
yeah, no, we there's back at the sanctuary, I would bury because the ground is soft. We had sandy soil, so I've always buried, and then the animals that Ellie's lost, she's also buried. It's easy with the tractor to go down and just trench yourself a little hole using that bucket, and you could bury your animals deep enough and cover them. But over here with the clay, and the rocks and the roots, there's just not, you can't dig here. So we've had to cremate over here. And we've found a way to do that with honor and respect and staying true to this land. But with Oki, we were not able to do that. But Jamie and I have also talked about doing some kind of a memorial. We have the little memorial garden over at the sanctuary that needs to be redone. I know it needs to be worked on, but we're going to do something over here as well.
Yeah. Because
it's important that we memorialize.
We have an idea.
We have a wonderful idea. I think you're going to love the idea. We just got to wait till the cooler temperatures to get out there and do it.
We're close.
We are close.
And then the last thing is they're asking about how's Voodoo. So Voodoo is actually, I wish there was wood right here. Voodoo is doing really wonderful. Because of the need for his pasture, the timing couldn't have been better, where he was ready to start staying full time over with the horses. The one thing that we have changed is we're still soaking Voodoo's food, but because of the way they eat and being over there, we've actually just started soaking everyone's food. There's nothing wrong with that. They all still eat it. Trust me, they all still eat it. But that has made it more consumable for Voodoo. And then if he finishes his and happens to go to any other bowl or gets whatever the case is, then everybody has the same. No one is sad about that. And it's working out really well. His wound is completely closed at this time. He still definitely is sore. And I can tell that he gets worn out faster than he ever did before, but he is going to the barn in the middle of the day, to his stall. He is waiting out there in the mornings to feed. This morning, because I was out with Ernie, normally I do horse, littles, and then alpaca, and alpacas all at the same time. But today I did Ernie and, the alpacas first. And Voodoo actually was waiting in the barn for me to walk out there. Everybody else was right at the fence, and he was not making that trip for sure unless hay was put out. So that was good. And then people want to know about your cows too at JM.
Yeah, so I'm headed over there right now. As of last night, there was still nothing. I don't know what these girls are holding out for, but I'll be leaving here right when I'm done with this, driving over there. And so I'll be going live again on the Longhorn Lester Facebook. And then we'll be looking at those cows. But don't worry, YouTube. If there are calves, I will jump on over to you guys as well and bring you guys the same update. But I will say at noon today will be the homecoming video with Ernie. We're going to play that on YouTube first.
I'm sorry that I jumped. Mine was ahead and showed him already here.
It's okay. It's okay. No, that happens sometimes. But I will have my version of the homecoming video with Ernie, and that will be at noon today on the I'm a Survivor YouTube. But not to worry, Facebook. I'll play it for you guys maybe this afternoon, later this afternoon. So no one's going to miss out on these big moments. That will be on I'm a Survivor channel, which Ernie is in fact part of the I'm a Survivor crew. All righty. And then we'll do the cow checkup in a few minutes. Okay. Thank you all so much for watching. We are blessed to have you. I finished 2 full cups of coffee. Jamie's 1.5 in. So I will be bouncing off the walls. So thank you all for watching.
Thanks so much, y'all. And bear with us over the next couple of days and know that we're doing our best. We love you. We hope you have a safe day. And Lester will be back with y'all in a while to give you the cow up.
We will do that. We will end the video where we started, right over here. Thank you, Mabel.
뻔한 얘기지만 널 보면 그냥 좋아 매일 보고 싶어 함께 있는 순간들도
Come on, girls. Morning, sweetie. Christmas, just settle down. Oh my gosh. Morning, ladies. Hi, girls. Ernie. We're gonna talk about you today, buddy.